Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and Representative Conklin, Chairman, as well. We appreciate the time and the indulgence. Some of you were here last year when we had introduced this. This is actually the third term we've been working on this. I started it later in one session and really didn't get a lot of movement on it. Today I'm asking you to consider a revision to House Bill 162. This is not exactly the same bill as last year because I have tried to, last session, to listen to some of the concerns that have been raised by our members, a lot of the newer members, very bright, and brought some other things to the forefront, as well as some other organizations. But before I go there, I do want to take a couple moments, and I did hear the word brief, so I will try to stay along those lines. But by disclosure, for some that don't know, I am adopted, but this is not about my adoption. I was very blessed with adopted parents who treated me very well and very loving and very kind. The more I got involved with this issue, the more passionate I became about the issue. And I've been here for 19 years, and I have to tell you, this one is very reflective of what I feel we are elected to do, and that is represent people who can't always come before government and represent themselves. They may not know the pathway, they may not have the ability to articulate what it is. You've been inundated with some of the information I've shared with you. I provide some testimonial packets, the tan ones, that told people's stories. Just yesterday we sent you one about a gentleman who's struggling just to get his passport. He was born in 1958 and adopted in Pennsylvania. If his family chooses to go abroad, he still can't go with them because he is, through the bureaucracy, not able to get his passport. Some would argue that that's not true. The reality is this gentleman has no reason sending me a story that doesn't work or isn't true. I've met and heard from people all across the country that were born in Pennsylvania. My good friend now, Annie Williams, some of you met, who testified at a recent hearing we had last year on the same issue. Born in Pennsylvania, serves in the General Assembly in the state of Illinois, voted to give the residents of Illinois the ability to access their original birth certificates as an adoptee, but sits and waits year after year to get her own. I just think in this year of this time of transparency and open government, I think it was said by one of our former Democrat members in the last hearing, it's a bill whose time has come. We have tried to provide protections in there because I think some of the members and other interested parties were concerned about birth parents and the protection for them, and I've heard you, and I agree with you that we should do what we can. We put a contact preference amendment in there that if a OBC was open, original birth certificate, that birth parent could have their files marked that they didn't want contacted. Some would say that's not strong enough, but yet, yes, they could be prosecuted for harassment and stalking. So in addition to that, this year, I am going to be offering through the Madam Chairwoman an additional amendment known as the redaction, that there would be a time period subsequent of House Bill 162 being passed that a live parent, birth parent, if choose, they can have their name redacted off the birth certificate. That is not exactly pleasing or what the ultimate goal was for many adoptees, but we do believe that we are in an industry of compromise, and sometimes you have to be able to take half a loaf when you can't get the full loaf. But at the end of the day, and I got a whole array of notes here, but you've been blessed with the fact that I don't have my glasses. The reality is, to me, this is an issue of fairness. Why are some Pennsylvanians allowed to have this? If I was a foster child and I bounced around 5, 6 different foster families and had 5 different sets of foster parents, I could get my original birth certificate. Those that are not born into an adoptive family can get that. We as government officials and government agencies are requiring people to produce a raised seal certificate to prove our existence here on this planet, that we are who we are. But as adoptees, we don't present the same thing the rest of you do. We get an amended form. The reality is people are finding each other all the time through internet. I have some people here who do this as a service for other people. It is not about trying to connect families. It's about giving all Pennsylvanians a fair access to that one piece of paper that legitimizes who you are, where you were born, what your ethnic background, what your religion was. In closing, I've had gentlemen who served in the military say to me, Kerry, I've gone to other countries. I fought for people I don't even know, people I've never met, but I fought for them to have freedoms, only to come back to my own country who tells me that at 60, 65, 70, I can't have a copy of my own original birth certificate. That doesn't make any sense. We've had people say to me, can't you get this for me before I go to my own grave? It just doesn't make sense. On an issue of fairness, I would ask you to consider this. I think with the amendment, we've tried to put some assurance in there. We are respectful of those birth mothers who made that wonderful decision to give us life and allow us to grow up and have our own lives and our own children. I will close with the fact that Ohio, being one of the most recent states who has done this, has about 400,000 birth certificates of OBCs and only had about 110, 120 redactions. And to those 120, I'm sorry. And we will have a handful here in the state of Pennsylvania. But the reality is, up till 1984, Pennsylvania adoptees could get their birth certificate. A previous legislature took that right away from them. For some, they consider it a contractual agreement with the birth mother, but there's three people in this equation: the birth parent, the child, and the adoptees. The adoptees have continued to be that subclass in that arrangement. Here's an opportunity to give that equality to all three of them, and I appreciate your consideration. Be willing to take any questions you want.